Stand. Pledge allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda. Do we have any do-frame rentals?
Yes. We have a rental for June 9th, 2019. It's a graduation party, arriving 9 a.m., departing 5 p.m. Maximum number of people is 80. Liquor authorized, no. They will be doing the parking lot area, open field, wooded areas on either side of the open field and the pavilion. That's the only one. That's it.
Okay. Let's move on. Any correspondence?
There is, well, there's a couple things. There's from the Mr. Droscher for the Mass DOT for the highway inspection, bridge inspection. Granby has 2 bridges that fall under the category for inspection. Inspections are in there as such.
Bridges.
There's the Charter Days Committee, meetings, meeting minutes from April 29th, and also from May 5th. There's a letter from PC Development LLC to the board in regards to some concerns they have about the Granby Bow and Gun Club. PC Development is the owner of Munson Ridge Estates, the subdivision up there. Well, they have some concerns about the
You're late.
permit.
Sorry, you only on camera?
Yeah.
Now what, Brock's gonna give you these, are for your vehicle reports.
Okay, thank you.
And we have from the Granby Police Department is the MOU for the School Resource Officer Program. It's based on the Criminal Justice Reform Act of 2018. It's been updated. That's the draft.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So it needs to be approved, correct? Yes.
That's for your microphone. Just leave it.
That's all we have for correspondence.
Sign special hotel. We're gonna go over
That's right here, right?
June 10th.
Do you want me to go through these?
Sure, if you want to, or I can. Up to you.
I can give an explanation if you want, or
Sure.
or if you want, you can read it and I'll do the explanation.
That's okay. We'll do that. I'll read the articles and you can give the explanation.
Okay.
All right. So this is it's gonna be for the town meeting for June 10th, 2019. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby direct and notify and warn that inhabitants of said town qualified to vote election of town affairs to meet at the Granby Junior Senior High School on East State Street in said town on Monday, the 10th day of June at 7:10 PM or as soon as thereafter. The subject matter for this warrant may be and there be reached and there to act on the following articles to wit. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to authorize and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds the sum of $50,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the Selectmen's expense budget for fiscal year 2019, or take any other action in regards thereto. Wouldn't that be fiscal year?
19.
No.
These are supplemental
Okay,
budgets.
all right,
Okay.
okay.
This is a special town meeting, so it relates to this fiscal
Fiscal
year
year.
versus the annual, which
Okay.
relates till next fiscal
Okay.
year. This $50,000, as a result of us combining the water main project along with the DOT project that's going along 202 here.
Yep.
We had to hire an engineer to update the existing design work for the road to include the water main and where it was going to run up along 202.
Okay,
We entered into a contract with Chapel Engineering, who is the engineering firm doing the current DOT proposed work. It's a $50,000 contract so that we can bid the water main out at the same time that the Mass DOT does to save money.
good.
I was gonna say, that's cheap.
Mass DOT paid for all the surveying, they're gonna pay for all the police, they're gonna pay for, it's over $500,000 that Mass DOT is contributing just to phase one alone.
That's good, that's really good.
It is.
Well, it's a state highway, so. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to authorize or appropriate, borrow or transfer from available funds the sum of $30,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding legal expense budget for fiscal year 2019, or take any other actions in regards thereto.
Our current legal budget is currently overspent by about $9,000. We still have to get through May and June. The reason it's overexpended is we've had a lot of legal expenses regarding the ongoing Granby Bow and Gun Club incident. We had the investigation of the fire chief that was performed, that cost around $20,000.
Yep.
We have had some other personnel issues that we've required legal counsel on. So therefore, I'm projecting to give myself a buffer of about another 20,000, so the 9 plus 20, 21,000 comes to the 30,000 I'm looking for additional funds in the
Okay.
legal budget. Just so the board knows, I'm not looking at raising and appropriating any money. I am looking at transferring excess budget funds from other departmental budgets to here, to
Okay.
these budgets.
All right.
So we won't be raising any more money.
Article 3, to see if the town will vote to authorize or appropriate, borrow or transfer from available funds the sum of $80,000.
8,000.
Oh, yeah, 8,000, big difference.
Yep.
Or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the cemetery personnel services budget for fiscal year 2019, or take any other actions in regards thereto.
Okay, and upon looking and reviewing the cemetery budget, what they had budgeted for personal services, I believe is not going to be enough at the current rate that they're putting time in up at the cemeteries. So looking at that and trying to guesstimate outwards, I feel it needs another $8,000 in order to make it through the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to authorize or appropriate, borrow or transfer from available funds the sum of $28,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the fire department personnel services budget for fiscal year 2019, or take any other action in regard thereto.
Okay, Article 4 and Article 5 are tied together. Do you want to read Article 5 and I can discuss them
Yeah,
both
that's
together?
fine, sure. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to authorize and appropriate, borrow or transfer from available funds the sum of $40,000 or greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the ambulance department personal service budgets for fiscal year 2019, or take any other action in regard thereto.
Okay. The 28,000, as I said, I'm going to transfer from other budgets that have excess funds in them, that they're not spending the full budget amount.
Okay.
The 40,000 is coming out of the retained earnings account, which has about $194,000 in it. Okay. The item that this relates to is back when the investigation was done at the beginning of the fiscal year, the fire chief was placed on paid administrative leave.
Right.
During that period of time, we had to hire a interim administrator for the fire department, the ambulance department.
Yes.
That came to about $10,000. I can't say fire chief because he
Right.
wasn't a fire chief. He
Right.
was the assistant town administrator, fire services. In addition to that, we had an employee who decided to go elsewhere. We had to do a large payout of his vacation time,
Sick time?
vacation time, comp time, and other items that were required for him to be paid out on under the contract. Okay. Third item is we currently have another full-time paramedic who is currently out on paid leave and is not expected to come back by the end of the current fiscal year. And we had Mr. Carpenter, who just recently retired, however, was out on paid medical leave. So we had vacant actual work slots because the people were out on paid leave. We're filling those with overtime or per diem people. It was totally unanticipated, and it is a large sum of money that we had to pay out. Because we can't be operating something without the proper staffing.
Yeah, those things happen.
Okay?
Can't plan for them, they
It
happen.
was a bad year. It was a
Yeah.
very bad year. So, what?
Only question, I know why we can't call him a fire chief. Should we, since we're on camera, should we say because he was 60, over
Nope.
65?
No, I prefer not to.
Okay,
I prefer not
then I
to.
won't say a word.
And I have 2 copies of this warrant. If the board is amenable to the articles that we are bringing forth, I would like you to vote to approve and sign the warrant.
Since this is gonna be done at 10 June, you want to assign the articles to the people tonight, or?
We're going to do that at our June 3rd meeting.
Oh, okay.
We still have one meeting before town meeting.
I didn't know we were gonna have one before then, to be
Yes.
honest. I've been running around in circles, as you know, so.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve and sign the warrants for the June 10th town meeting.
I will second Glenn's motion.
All in favor? Aye.
There's no sticky notes, so.
Read, look for your name.
Sign your name is.
Look for your name.
We're gonna do it on our own tonight, no CPO here.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you all set? Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, the next item has to do with the approval of the sewer rates for the next fiscal year to fund the FY20 sewer enterprise fund budget. So, what I do is, I have my budget here, broken out totaling $235,107. Okay? That's on the budget sheet, third page, okay? What I have to do is, because a enterprise fund is supposed to be self-funded, I have to generate the sewer rates for the community septic users, for the people on the sewer system, and for the people who are on the South Hadley line, who are connected to the South Hadley sewer. I have 3 rates I have to calculate, okay? I take each one of the line items, like I have the 1560, I have 9,000, I have that, and I lay them out in my budget here. And I break it out accordingly, whether it's sewer, what we call 5 corners, or the community septic system that is behind the highway garage. Okay? Based upon the costs that are assigned, I look at other revenue sources. Other revenue sources are penalty and interest for late payments and interest earned on the funds on an annual basis. Okay? If we have any connection fees that are charged by South Hadley, it is up to the person connecting to the system who has to pay for that fee. So that's why I budget 1,000 for expenses, I budget 1,000 for income. It should be a wash, supposed to be a wash, back and forth. The other item we have is the 12,300, which is basically the Title V inspections that have been an ongoing item for the last 2-3 years. We've had issues trying to get this work done due to the wet nature that we've had over the last couple of years. So each year, the amount that I'm budgeting until these Title V inspections are done is coming out of the retained earnings account. Okay? If we don't spend the money goes back into retained earnings, available for the next year until we can get this work done.
I would assume those inspections increase each year.
Nope.
No,
it's-
stay the same?
It was a
Wow.
set fee to do it, and there was no escalator clause for them to be able to charge more than what was originally set.
Good for us.
So, in as of July 1, 2018, the balance was 194. We had budgeted 42,300 to be used in FY19, which was broken down into, we had a generator we were buying for 30,000, plus the 12,300 for the Title V.
Okay.
Leaving 152,000. We're projecting using 12,300 for 2020, so our proposed balance remaining will be 140,000. If the generator is completely purchased, and if the Title V is completely expended in FY19. Okay? In the past, the boards wanted to know the percent change in the budget. So, that's what's the next line down is it shows a history of what this budget has done. Okay? And between FY19 and FY20, it's reducing 11.77%.
Now the big question, why is that?
It is due to the fact that the generator is no longer going to be in there, and we are paying down on a 25-year bond with the payment that's applied. The interest for next year is less because the balance is less. Okay?
Yep.
So basically the budget went down $31,350. That translates to a 11.77 reduction in the budget. Okay? So, we get to the bottom of the first sheet, Glenn.
Yep.
Okay? And we have a certain number of EDUs, equivalent dwelling units, that we bill out. Based upon those dwelling units, it calculates a EDU fee. Okay? Like for the community, I'll use that one for an example, the community septic, we have 48 EDUs. Based on the total local use fee of a net figure of $12,775, their fee is $266 per EDU, which is billed out semi-annually. Okay? Then, this is local use. Then we go down to the South Hadley fee. The South Hadley fee is $265 per EDU. Okay? So we go down, we figure add the 265 to the local EDU to come with the current year EDU total. So, using community septic again,
Yep.
we have 266 local. Community septic users don't pay a South Hadley user fee because it doesn't go to South Hadley. It's kept in our own public community septic system. So their FY20 rate will be $266 per EDU compared to $266 for FY19 comes to a 0% increase for them, for their rate. When I look at Five Corners, the local EDU is $370. They have to pay for the South Hadley user fee, or user fee, because that waste does go to the regional treatment plant located in South Hadley. So the 370 plus the 265 comes to 635 compared to last year's of 639. So we have a reduction of $4 per ED, or a minus 0.63% reduction in the sewer user fee. The third rate is the South Hadley users who are on the South Hadley line
Right.
that are connected just to South Hadley. There is no local cost associated with it, so that stays the same because it's
That is what it is.
$265. So I need the board to approve the FY20 sewer rates of $266 per EDU for community septic, $635 per EDU for what we call Five Corners, and $265 per EDU for South Hadley Connections 5194.
I'll make a motion that we approve the sewer use charge for fiscal year 2020 for EDUs for the community
Septic.
septic of a rate of $266 per EDU.
Per EDU, yes.
The Five Corners area, $635 per EDU.
Correct.
And for the South Hadley, $265 per EDU
Correct.
fee.
I will second Glenn's motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Does the board have any other questions on how I do the calculation? I try and make it as detailed as possible for everybody.
It makes sense as you were explaining it, so I mean, where you came up with the numbers.
Okay, but I'm just saying, I go through this
Yeah.
every year. At some point, though, I believe we should look at seeing, can we make it a single rate system versus a 3-rate system?
Well, that'd be a big impact for the community.
It could very well be, yes, but I'm just saying is we should explore it at some point.
Yeah.
Because while I may understand it, the next person walking in the door may not have a good feel on how it's calculated. That's all, just. All right,
Well, just make sure you explain it to him or her.
okay. As long as I don't go out and get hit by a bus and that's the reason I'm being
It's not
replaced.
that again. All right.
All right, next item. Regarding the water main project and filling the pipes with water. I had a meeting with Representative Carey about 2 months back. I think it was April, end of March. And he had a concern because South Hadley District 1 individuals were contacting him and saying they were totally surprised by this project. They had no clue that they were going to be supplying water. They never made an agreement, so on and so forth. Jay has a different opinion, as he's stated many a times in the past.
Yeah.
So, in trying to get through that difference of opinion, I had a meeting in South Hadley with Representative Carey, Jeff Sear, who is the supervisor of the water system, one of the South Hadley District 1 water commissioners, and Mike Sullivan, who's the South Hadley Town Administrator. Went through the process. They explained some of the issues they have. Number one, they wanted to be able to see the plans to make sure that their size pipe was compatible to our size pipe. They wanted to see some of the hydrological numbers to make sure that what we were looking for, they would be able to provide. Okay. Number three is they have some hurdles that they have to go through before they can agree to supply us with water. Currently, coming out of MWRA, Quabbin, there is what's called the Connecticut Valley Aqueduct. That has so much water coming through it. There are three entities that claim that water: the city of Wilbraham, the city of Chicopee, and South Hadley District 1. They each get a certain percentage of that water. If South Hadley District 1 wants to increase their share of that water, they have to get an agreement from the other two communities.
Makes sense.
They are currently in the process of contacting those other two communities to talk about it. The next issue will be, in order to get water from MWRA, South Hadley District 1 has an agreement signed with MWRA saying what areas they can supply water to. 202 between South Hadley Town Line and Amherst Street is not part of that area that they can supply water to. When the Morgan Street line was put in by Waste Management, they had to go to MWRA and get an amendment to their agreement with MWRA to allow them to supply water to that street. That was accomplished with the help of our legislators. Okay. Now they're going to go back and see if they can get the agreement modified again to include between Town Line and Amherst Street. That again is going to require probably the services of Senator Lesser, Representative Carey, because that's his district in Granby. Okay? So, they're going to be doing that. We got the plans to them, but they also would like to meet with the Board of Selectmen to talk about the project.
Sure.
Okay? June 20th, which was a Thursday night at 6:30 p.m., I believe we are going to be the only item on their agenda, so we can have enough time to discuss this project.
6:30?
6:30. Okay? At their district headquarters. Okay?
District headquarters.
They are on Granby Road. I think it's 432 Granby Road, basically. 202.
We'll get that one, I suppose.
Okay. Yep. Oh, I can forward it to you. I'll email it to you. To be able to talk about where they're at and can they supply, or do we need to have discussions with MWRA and maybe surrounding communities to be able to see if we can get that water. Okay. They did talk about us possibly having to install fire hydrants that I don't think were planned by David and Jay.
Yeah, every 300 feet.
Did you do fire hydrants?
Every 300 feet.
And they were talking about requiring a stub off the water main to every parcel
Yep.
along 202.
That was done on the original drawings as well.
And they, I think, were going to try and require them to hook up no matter what. Okay? The other issue is when Jay and David came back from talks, we are going to be responsible for maintaining the water main between South Hadley Town Line and Amherst Street. When I met with them, I believe they were going to be maintaining, but that's a topic that I think we need to get some clarification on, okay?
Well, if they maintain it, is there a cost to us for them maintaining?
Well, that's the question, or does it get rolled into their total operational cost and their water rate for the district itself?
Because that's how the South Hadley people pay for this. They pay for their water plus a certain percentages for the maintenance of the South Hadley pipes.
Right, right.
Okay, so these are the topics that we're going to want to talk with them about when we go along. They also had a concern because at one point, Jay in his presentation were talking about when the pipe gets extended a little farther, we were going to create our own water utility. I told them, in the foreseeable future, I don't see us doing that. Okay? I believe that they should continue doing it. They're more qualified to do it. I don't want to have to create another enterprise fund for water and go through the machinations of trying to calculate the usage and this and that. The other thing that I like about it, if we get water from them, we now have true water meter readings that will help us in determining our sewer rates.
Yep.
Okay? These are things that
Right, yeah.
I think are good things. The other item that I talked to them about was, we had talked about a 3-phase project for this water line. First going to Hammer Street, then going down and joining the Morgan Street line
Right.
to make that a loop versus a stub line. They said that would help them because right now, the way they get the water to change right now, they have let the fire department, no, they let the fire department come down and take water, fill our tankers right there. That makes sure the water keeps flowing and doesn't get stagnant. The third phase of our project was going to be to extend our water line down to Ludlow,
New Ludlow Road and East Street.
New Ludlow Road and East Street, where their pipe comes in along New Ludlow Road.
16-inch pipe, currently got a 12-inch valve.
We do know that that pipe will be requiring work sometime in the future because it does have some leaks,
Yep.
And if it ever has a break, we could then backfeed off of our line back into South Hadley while they had to make repairs. That way they wouldn't shut down
Right.
their water service. They were amenable to that too.
Yep.
So what I'd like to do is, like I said, on June 20th, have the board go, myself go, and talk to them and see what the status is on being able for them to provide the water to us. Okay?
Something we need.
Yes.
Something we can use.
And it's a win-win for both communities at this point in this section. Because as Chris says, if they have a problem, because their pipe was put in the 1950s and it's a 16-inch pipe.
Right, there's benefits to both sides.
And if that 16-inch pipe, which passes through Ludlow, Granby, and South Hadley, was to be replaced or have a problem, I won't speak for Ludlow, but I'm saying Granby and South Hadley could both put in for grants to help defray some of the costs. It wouldn't just be South Hadley by themselves.
Right, because now part of the parts, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So I realize their issues, their hurdles. We recognized them. I also explained to them what our needs were, and right now they're going forward. And hopefully we can get some answers on June 20th. Okay?
And you have to realize that we're all on Mass DOT's timetable. That's what the crunch is. We cannot fall behind Mass DOT. Because like when you stated earlier, Glenn, that's a big chunk of money that we're saving. If we don't stay behind Mass DOT's timeline, we lose all that.
So we need to be ready when they start.
We need to keep moving just like we're doing, working with South Hadley, working with MWRA, and Mass DOT's online. Lieutenant Governor told me today that she was well aware of it, and I was surprised to hear that she knew about it, to be perfectly honest with you, because I didn't tell her.
Well, how far, when is it, what was the schedule date for the first phase?
Right now, they're looking at 2021.
But bid date
Right,
was, I believe, June
right, for September.
for a September start date.
And that's only up to Pizza Palace.
Yes.
2021 is for 5 corners in the School Street intersections. And Mass DOT said they would love for us to finish the work on Phase 1 before they even come in, because it would be completely into their advantage.
Right.
But again, it's all negotiable.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
just to keep this board, let this board know
Yeah.
where we're at with this project.
Well, we got to keep on moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's the update on that at this point in time. Next item, staffing of the building department. Last Monday, not this Monday, the 13th, but the 6th, we received a call from the building inspector that he would not be in due to a medical issue. He still is not in due to that medical issue. We have still having received permit applications, inspections are required, zoning type of issues. I contacted a company out in the eastern part of the state that provides these type of services. They have state-certified building commissioners. They have state-certified building inspectors, and their commissioners can do zoning work, zoning enforcement work. Been in contact with South Hadley building commissioner, who acts as,
South Hadley before, didn't we?
we still do.
You still do a little transition.
Right,
before.
because our building inspector doesn't have his state commissioner license,
Right.
but he's in the process. He's passed 2 of the 3 tests. He has to just take the 3rd test, and then he will be a building commissioner. He has been working under the auspices of the building commissioner in South Hadley to continue performing building commission, doing permits, inspections, everything in the town of Granby. I didn't want to overload the commissioner in South Hadley, that's why I contacted this company. He has indicated that he hasn't been overworked yet, but yet wants to wait to see when our inspector comes back to see if we need to hire any additional staff, just in case Greg can't do some of the job due to his recuperation from whatever, from his illness, okay? And
Sure he's gonna be able to come back, or it's still uncertain?
right now, I'm hearing, I guess Greg called the building commissioner in South Hadley, had indicated he wants to come back next week, but he was having a follow-up with his doctor
Right.
today, this afternoon. So hopefully we'll know something better tomorrow.
So, Plan A, if the building inspector doesn't come back soon, Plan A is to what the,
We're right now,
South
we're
Hadley.
working with South Hadley.
we'll stay there.
And if our building inspector has to be out for a longer period of time, I'm proposing contracting with this company in the eastern part of the state. It's $105 an hour for whatever hours the building commissioner in South Hadley feels we should hire someone for.
Okay.
I think that's the way we have to go,
I think, yeah.
okay?
Well, we gotta make sure that we're providing the service that the town needs.
Right. Until Greg can come back
Yeah.
and fully perform the job as required.
Right.
So, okay? That's where we're at with that. Before we get into the other 2 items, I have another item. I did have someone come in the office and request that those 2 handicap signs that we put up for Mrs. Mayhew on Bachelor Street, with her recent passing, they would like the signs to be taken down. They don't see the need, and
It's just a reminder.
it's a reminder.
Yeah.
And
Which is not good.
I said, while the board authorized them to be put up, I would like to go through the board to authorize them to be taken down. And if the board has no issue, I'll inform David tomorrow to please remove the 2 signs.
No, I don't have issues. I think it's not a need for it anymore. As you said, maybe it's a reminder that's not a pleasant reminder, so.
Yes, so, okay.
Take it down.
And the other item is you do have Memorial Day ceremonies coming up. Do you know who's going to be saying their few words at the ceremony?
I'd recommend Jay. I mean, he's done a nice job the past couple of years.
Oh, I'll let one of you guys do it this year. I need a break.
You want a break?
Yeah, I actually need a break. I've been going since 9 o'clock this morning.
Well, this is not today, Jay.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about overall.
I'll be glad to do it.
Okay.
Would you?
Yeah, just give me a poem, Jay, will you?
You like the poems, huh?
Yeah, no, I'll be glad to do it. I'll be honored to do it.
That's it for me at this point in time.
Just on a quick, like I say, I've been a long day, so just to bring the board up to date, because we didn't have time the last time, just to get on the status of the grants without getting into any detail at all. We currently have 7 grants in Boston that are pending. 2 are for EV chargers. One is the MVP one, which is the water line. We have our Green Community Grant. As with the board's discussion, we did reassign the Meta Grant, remember last time? Working with PVPC on trying to match up, because we have one Green Community Technical Assistant Grant with PVPC. If you guys remember, we signed that, and you guys authorized Mr. Martin and I to take care of that one. Then we also have one non-Green Community Technical Assistant Grant for energy. Well, just as we stated, the 3 priorities before, we're going to assign the Meta Grant to the Fire Department roof, and the Municipal Utility Department will be the other 2 grants combined. Yes.
Let's not call it utility at this point.
Okay. Whatever you want to call it.
Right now, we're going to call it electric,
That's fine.
okay? Because,
Whatever, I have no problem. But you know what we're trying to do.
yes,
That's all. So we have 7 grants that are actually pending one way or another in Boston. We should hear by 30 June. And then we have the bond, so.
Is that like the date, June 30th?
Well, no, June 30th, the end of the fiscal year, and a lot of time they have to make decisions, just like Chris had to make to balance the budget for our
I
FY.
didn't know if that's like when the decisions come out. Is that like,
They could come out tomorrow,
but is that the last day they have to?
that's when the funding
expires.
Expires,
disappears, okay?
Okay.
And if you guys want more detail on each one, we can do that at our next meeting. But right now, until they come in, you pretty much know what they are.
Yeah.
But we just,
As far as the 2/30 date.
yeah,
Exact.
yeah, it's just like it expires for FY.
Okay. What do you have? Departmental reports?
No.
Okay.
Mhm.
seeing the police report. I don't know if anybody's been up on Burnett Road in Chicopee, but they have the new signs up there. They're the tells you how fast you're going. You know, they're solar powered.
Yeah.
So the new sign has, when I was thinking of it, I thought, gee, that'd be something nice for Granby, because I know there's some trouble spots in Granby that could use it. But the sign tells you how fast you're going, and if you're going, you know, the correct speed, it kind of flashes, and there's a smiley face.
Right.
And if you go over a certain amount of speed, it becomes a frown. So it's got to kick out.
I've also seen it where they write out, slow down.
Well, yeah, I've seen that slow down. I think you could probably,
I've seen it
they,
slow down, but
right, they could put it whatever. The first time
Yeah.
I saw that, and then,
Yeah.
They do that a lot of time on the Mass Pike. Because they can change them remotely.
yeah, that's, I'm assuming they can put different things up. And
Right.
people are probably wondering now, how do I know I had a frown face? Well, because I was going over the speed limit at that point. So, but I just thought it's just, I was thinking that, because I know people have talked about certain areas of Granby, and I was just wondering, is that something maybe related to like a grant or something like that we could look at down the road? Or
Well, if you're,
if it's solar powered, doesn't use any electricity,
We have a resident on Taylor Street who constantly complains.
well, there's several areas, and what made me think about that is the conversation we had before about where the library is and how fast people come around the corner there. And sometimes I think when people see that, they tend to slow down because they see it, and it's a reminder that they slow down when they see it.
well, as the board, as we progress on the Route 202 project,
We can get some.
that's open for negotiations with Mass DOT, because we already have a whole list Dave and I have been working on the swales and the drainage for stormwater on the side, which is basically the state to the impervious
Impervious,
pavement,
yeah.
impervious.
Yeah.
They can't go, and it's gotta go off to the side. So we're already noting where there's stormwater problems, so as they go through there and putting the new road in and putting the new sidewalks in and everything else like that, we got this big list, and it's
Yeah.
just getting bigger and bigger, and we can just add that to the
I know it was
list.
off topic.
If
but
you
I was
give us
just
a
thinking about it.
location, we can do that.
I just know that, you know, there's been some areas that people have spoken about throughout the town. You know, I know that the police department has the one that's, you know, that's mobile to go to different places, but
It's over by Children's First right
yeah.
now.
Oh,
I
I
think-
thought they had a cruiser that they were gonna dedicate
Oh,
to
he's-
citations.
He's very busy.
Well,
at the
maybe,
new
but I know
library.
they have that, I just think it's.
What do you want to do
sign
the
up.
smiley face?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I can
But
tell you-
I don't, I think,
Yeah.
that's, but it's, I think it's a deterrent when people are going, because people slow down usually when they see it, and just reminds them, but.
I can tell you during
So-
the Energy Committee meeting, which started at 5:30 tonight before I got here, which was a few minutes late. We were in the new library and we saw 4 people get tickets on 202 from our illustrious police department. No, I'm just a fact. We just noticed it, because we were in the big room.
Well, you're supposed to be working, not looking out the window.
Well, I was sitting on the side to see out the window, but I was working.
I think if we get people to slow down without
Multitasking.
giving out citations, I think it's even better, but.
Hey.
So, with that said, I'll make a motion to accept the departmental reports.
Yeah, I read them this afternoon, slipping in between meetings, so I will second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Let's see, sir. Look at these.
Warrant time.
Number 68, 69.
Yeah, I'm looking for 69, I see 70, I don't see 69.
69, the bottom one. No, keep going down, keep going down. And look at the second page on that, and that's where you'll see.
This one here?
Yeah, look at the second page and you'll see warrant number 70. at the very top. Probably gonna move the paperclip.
I'll try until I have to. There it is.
Okay,
So it's out of order.
yes.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve and sign maintenance warrants number 68, 6970 for fiscal year 2019.
I will second Glenn's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I can't sign it, the thing just fell off.
Oh, if he doesn't tell him where to sign it, he can't sign it.
Time to get rid of that sticky.
Yes.
That's it.
She used it too many times, huh? Thank you, sir. I'll make a pile for you.
Right here?
Right there.
You want them upside down when they're signed?
Okay. Yes, please.
I think it's easy for you. I just throw them over
Keep
there.
them in order.
Right.
And then I have one more thing that I forgot about that Mr. Joyce asked me about, is to be able to put out a robocall
Robocall, cross
to
it
the
off.
residents, reminding them of the election on Monday, May 20th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Granby Junior Senior High School.
And I talked,
Save me from bringing it up.
Okay.
'Cause I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I was too.
I was thinking about the other day when someone was talking about robocalls.
And actually, Jay even had the East Meadow School sign advertising the election also,
Excellent.
so.
yep, did that with the superintendent. And I plan on the 10th of June, the week before, we'll put something out that we're having a town meeting, because the more people we get, we know, the more participation we need.
Yeah,
I think it's better.
good, and I think we use that sign for different reasons, too. It's a valuable sign.
Well,
It's expensive sign.
Yeah, it's expensive, it's paid for by the town, and
Might as well use it.
and particularly when we get close to Charter Day, I don't see a reason the week before Charter Day, they're gonna put something out there, and they're gonna be out of school. So they're probably gonna have one sign that says something, see you next summer, or something like that, you know what I mean? I don't
Or they
know.
may just turn it off and save something.
No, they don't do that.
No?
No, no.
It's gonna stay on all the time?
It stayed on all last summer, put it to you that way.
It did.
They don't know where the switch is.
Does it have to stay on all summer?
No, it doesn't have to.
Oh, that's my question.
No, I'm just saying, but it did stay on last summer, so I'm just presuming it's gonna stay on. this.
Actually, what we're gonna do is see if we can find a caricature of Jay, and we're gonna put his face on it.
Wait.
Actually, all the current board members are gonna run them across there
There you go.
constantly.
The only other thing that I had mentioned to Chris is, and I know it's not in this year's budget, but we should probably think about 2 bulky waste days, if it gets put into the budget. Because last fall, we got slammed with the amount of stuff that people came up with.
Do you know what I'd like to see with that bulky waste?
No, but go ahead and tell me.
We're talking about a shredding machine
Oh,
coming in.
yeah, we've
Pro
talked about
shred,
that
that's pro
before.
shred.
We've been
Pro
talking
shred,
about
yeah,
that for
That's
the
pro
past year.
shred, that's pro shred.
And I know if that's something that town doesn't do, I know,
The banks, we have.
the bank
another-
does, but there's a
program?
I don't want to put them out there, but there's a entity in town that does fundraising for different things in town, who wanted to actually do something like that. And I had a conversation probably about 6 months ago with that person, said, no, why don't you wait, the town will be doing something, so if we can probably do that sooner or later.
But it
It'd be a good thing.
it should not be done in conjunction with any bulky waste day.
No, it's a busy day. I think it's probably something you can do right in this parking lot here. But I think it's something we should look at doing. If we're not gonna do it, I'd like to, let
I
that
know-
person know, give them the opportunity to
I know in the
raise
past,
money.
it's been a discussion.
Yeah. Well, it's come up a couple times. I think we've talked about it.
But again, right now, we're just getting ready to start the FY20 budget, so it's the time if we're gonna use anything on the side, so it gives Chris time to budget for it. That's all I'm saying.
I think 2 days is definitely worthwhile, Jeff. You know?
But again, we are gonna have some long discussions on the next contract for the waste, and
Well, I think it's good for, the residents too, because, they're not hanging on to things sometimes for so long. It gives them the opportunity to dispose of things as well.
And for the people out there, we might want to remind them that the 25th of May is the next yard waste day.
Just did.
I know, that's why I said it that way. I slip it in at the same time. Just to bring you guys up to speed, as you know, I was with the Lieutenant Governor again today. We had economic development of the Pioneer Valley, and I didn't read my email yesterday till after supper, and I found out that I was supposed to go. And Mr. Martin, I see you sent me an email. I'm a speaker at the Granby.
Apparently, you signed up to be a speaker.
No, I didn't, but I guess I am because I'm on the agenda. But anyways, today's was about economic development. And the major thing the state is looking for out in the Pioneer Valley is to keep the people here. Because we got so many colleges here where people are being educated. Why can't we keep them versus them going elsewhere? And the two main reasons that came up was, number one, housing. There wasn't enough housing for them at different levels.
Affordable housing.
Yes, affordable housing. And more business-type jobs, manufacturing and stuff like that. Because it's been noted that a lot of the people that leave Stick and the other colleges drive south to Connecticut, and that's where they're taking their jobs at.
Yeah, well, from what I've been hearing and watching the news, and from my understanding, Connecticut's struggling. So I don't know if they're traveling to Connecticut, especially when our minimum wage is more than Connecticut.
Well, the reason I brought it up is on the FY20 budget, they're gonna be putting money forth to improve affordable housing
Stuff like
and to promote business opportunities for business. So if we know what they're planning in advance, we can start looking ourselves in advance. For example, I know, Glenn, you and I have talked many a times when we were on the planning board about Industrial 1, which abuts Westover, which would be a prime area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just don't want to leave you guys out in the cold, but I mean, that was the discussion pretty much about today. That way, what they're planning, they have to do a policy plan for the year.
When you come down to it, I mean, I see a lot of college kids on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And what they indicate is there's not enough employment out here. They have to go elsewhere.
That's
And
exactly.
and anything from UMass, Amherst, Hampshire College, all these colleges, Mount Holyoke College, all these young adults that are looking for a workforce so they can join, they have to go elsewhere. They go to Boston. They literally go
Right.
everywhere else.
I mean, if you look in a 30-mile radius of Granby, how many colleges are out there? And just take the number of students that are graduating, especially students from this area, that's a massive amount.
It is.
Right, and they're talking about,
Colleges alone are, especially this particular area.
UMass Amherst alone,
Right.
just, it's a city in itself.
but they're talking about investing money in transportation here because,
Well, that's one of the reasons why Senator Lesser's talking about
Exactly.
the speed rail, because there's much
Yes.
more jobs to eastern part of the eastern part of the state. That's
But they're-
common knowledge.
but they're also talking north-south.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
Today, they were talking
about-
north-south.
yeah.
That
Industrial.
north-south has been in the works for a long time.
Yeah, but it's just,
By creating those new Amtrak stops in Amherst, Northampton, Holyoke. I think Greenfield, I think they put one in too. Yeah.
but they're looking at investing almost $1 billion on FY20 in those type of things. So and we know if they're going to invest $1 billion in those type of things, it's something that we might want to look at here, and what's the best for Granby, and start lining our ducks up in a row. So if we want to apply for this stuff, we're ready.
Well, you want a train stop in Granby?
No, I'm thinking more of there was one discussion about infrastructure, which I got involved in, about Boston, instead of the towns giving incentives to businesses come in because we can't afford it, and there was mayors, there was other selectmen there, and there was a lot of people I didn't even know, to be perfectly honest with you. And Boston might invest some of the upfront money to the businesses to come in for the infrastructure they need, which would ultimately help out towns like us.
A lot of your cities do that because they have the ability to do so.
They have the money.
We do. We can do that too.
Yeah.
It's a special tax agreement
Right.
or a TIF,
Right.
tax incentive financing.
Right.
And along with that, the state, usually through the Mass Office of Business Development, gives them tax credits
Right.
as long as they stay in line with certain benchmarks that
Yep.
they say they will do that improves the economy, the employment, or the area. And as long as they keep doing it, they get a state credit on their taxes, and the local community gives them a credit
Well,
towards
they're
their
talking to
taxes.
do it without a local community tax because they know how many communities out here like us are getting close to our Proposition 2.5 ceiling, so we can't, a lot of communities can't afford to give a local credit. So the state's talking about to pick up the whole tab for the credit.
But all I'm saying, but you also have to have an equal opportunity area.
Yes.
You have to identify a lot of different things in town.
Yep.
Of where you want to target to have these things go into, that this community has not done.
You're right. that's-
And I don't think we will qualify, because I think you have to meet, they have a set of 11 criteria through the Executive Office of Community, EACC, I forget what it
Yep.
stands for. But there's an 11-point criteria that you have to be able to answer yes to 9 of them.
Well, they're supposedly looking at the beginning of FY20, putting out grants to have people coming and do that for the communities, help the communities. In other words, like towns like ours that don't have a planner and don't have those resources, they'll bring somebody in to identify what the town has and what they don't have.
But
and
also
then-
got to look, is that what the residents want as well?
Oh, it's completely up to the residents.
So,
But I mean, the bottom line is if that's the way they're headed, and that's where they're spending their money, if we're interested in any of that stuff, then we should start looking at it, is all I'm saying.
I've heard a lot of people talk about, bringing businesses into Granby, but then they don't want this one, they don't want that one, they don't want this one, they don't want that. So I guess it all depends what's available to the town and what people want, People move to town for different reasons. And
I completely understand, but I'm just giving you a heads up what they're saying, what they're investing this amount of money into.
yeah,
I mean, we could do absolutely nothing with it, or we could get involved. That would be the town's choice.
But some of the other issues that you run into while you look at trying to bring business in, we want people to stop.
Yes.
Not have to stop at a stop sign
Yeah,
in order to stop and visit
Right,
our businesses.
have a reason.
We want them to have, I still say, Route 202 should be the Route 9 of Hadley for us, to be honest with you. We don't want Burger King, McDonald's, Subway all lined up one next to each other. But you look at that little complex, it has the Aspen Dental, it has the Gentleman's Warehouse, it has the Starbucks, it has the,
yeah.
And the Texas Roadhouse.
right. Well, I don't think we'll ever get that because we don't have gas going up the line, up the street. But if we can get little strip malls like that have the various things, to bring people in, get an advanced auto part in here, get things of that nature, those are the type of things that are going to make people stop. Not trying to have a high-end restaurant here, that isn't going to make them stop. I think the Dollar General will generate some traffic, or stopping and maybe visiting the neighbor there, Happy Days.
Happy Days.
Happy Days,
The
and maybe
biggest-
going across to the
Cindy's,
no,
Early Mug.
No, they're right down there.
He's
They have,
got food on the mind, he can't help it.
it's the,
I think it's ice cream.
it's the
on the line.
caterer there,
Oh, yeah, yeah, something special.
something special. They'll
Yeah.
stop in there. He's gonna have a morning type of menu with a little general store. Maybe they'll stop there to do
I know
stuff
people,
too.
We have
it's
to
always
start-
been a talk that people like to, some type of nice, just a regular nice restaurant in Granby where they're not going outside to South Hadley, to Chicopee, where they can come, they can spend their money in town where they want to.
And that's fine, but you have to have water,
Right.
sewer,
And gas.
and 9 times out of 10, a gas line.
Agreed, and I
Yep.
said that a number of different times, that we're gonna need help to get there because it's a burden. And we weren't the only community. There was Leverett,
But I can tell you
numerous,
though,
Rutland.
you go back 25 years ago, which reality isn't that long ago, and take a look at Route 9
Mhm.
and take a look at it now.
Right.
And not saying that 202 should be anything like Route 9, but it takes time to develop and time to get things to certain places, make it happen.
But
You just gotta see, and I really think for comparing it to, something like a Hadley and Route 9, that's something that was started many
Memorial-
years ago.
But all I'm
Memorial
saying,
Division.
but all I'm saying is it's not a bunch of low-end stores.
Right, no, I
Memorial
agree.
Drive
Okay,
used to have
you
the
have,
yellow
you
line.
have a couple grocery stores there. You have,
Right.
you have
Memorial
the
Drive,
Staples, you have that.
Right.
You gotta bring some of those in.
What I'm saying too is, you gotta have that vision down, this is our 20-year vision, and we'll get to that, exactly. You
Yep.
can't, there's gotta be something set and start moving down that road, because like I said, you go back, I remember 30 years ago, Route 9 wasn't nearly what it is today, but
No.
people have visions of what it was gonna look like
when the money
and plan
becomes
for it as
available,
such.
we
so.
gotta be in line to get it. That's what I'm saying.
But you also have to keep in mind, a lot of people are doing online shopping. So brick and mortar stores aren't gonna be the
No,
mainstay.
right. And it's tough for a small grocery store to compete with a big grocery store.
Yep.
And even so, if people, want to stay local and they'll say, well, we'll buy at the local store. Well, in reality is there's been a lot of different small stores, grocery stores, if you will, South Hadley, Chicopee, Holyoke. All those stores have no longer exist that existed 20 years ago, because the reality is people say they'll go to those stores.
Yep.
But after so long, they start,
They go with the price.
have a butcher shop there in Granby.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll point out, since I've been here, you had that store that opened where the daycare is, Alphabet Soup is. We had that, the gentleman had fresh made stuff there, he had sandwiches, he had coffee, he had baked goods and stuff. People didn't go there. It was a nice little store. I went there many a times because it was a place for me to get a nice sandwich before a board meeting, but he didn't have enough of the local people
Well,
stopping,
that's
and
sometimes.
he had to close. And it got turned into a daycare instead.
I
And
think
she
of,
owns two of them.
Well, I think of years ago, and just something like the,
It's a different atmosphere.
well, something like the Granby Cafe was around for many
Yep.
years, and it was like a,
It was a gathering place.
it was, yeah, exactly. For many
Yes.
years, people would, you'd walk in there on a Friday night or Saturday night, people would, someone in there, and you'd have a grinder or a sandwich or something like that.
Go to
So,
the early mug at certain times, the same people were there all the time.
oh yeah,
Because that's the gathering
yeah,
place.
absolutely,
Yes, I
Jack.
understand.
Outside, that's the 10 o'clock clutch to
Yep.
talk about how the town of Granby isn't doing what it should be doing.
And at 4 o'clock.
And then at 4 o'clock, it's at Dunkin' Donuts. But
there
it's
is-
that
I
type
mean,
of thing.
And like I said, it's having that vision where probably, 15 years ago, well, we never thought there'd be a CVS in town. Well, there is a CVS. We never thought a CVS would do well in town. Well, the CVS is doing well in town.
But if you're looking like a supermarket, something like a market basket, which is relatively small compared to a Stop and Shop or something like
Right.
that, which the local farmers sell a lot.
Well, I agree. And I
Or
think, right.
even an Aldi's. Go to an Aldi's.
Exactly.
Aldi's is a low-end store,
Yes.
but it has quality.
It is quality because it's locally grown.
I think
Yes.
right now, especially us right here, somewhere, if you could do something like that or bring something like that to Granby, even right up here on 202, you look at, this whole other side of South Hadley, that whole part of South Hadley, since Big Y closed. So now everybody's traveling
Yep.
right past this way to go the other
You're
big
talking
Y.
Newton Street over there?
Yeah.
That's completely being torn down and rebuilt. If you
No.
go to the South Hadley Planning Board, there's all.
But,
Well, I know, but I'm
what
saying
Glenn
it-
is saying
wanna
is
make
the big Y was the draw.
Yes.
You had the traffic pattern there that fed the Parthenon, fed
Yes.
the Dunkin' Donuts, fed the Cumberland Farms there, fed the other
What
businesses
happened to
there.
other businesses that are slowly but surely in that area that are,
And that's why they're tearing down the buildings on the other side of Newton Street, and they're rehabbing everything else new. They've got a master plan over there from their planning board, put out for years.
See, I'm just saying, we got a good traffic pattern that comes down 202.
Yep.
Try getting out of here at between 4:30 and 5,
Well, after
and you're
you-
gonna sit there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes.
because you have a lot of people that travel
They pass through.
pass through Granby. A lot of people live in Granby, but do business outside of Granby. But you also have a lot of people that pass through Granby, going from Belchertown to 91, South Hadley, towards the Ludlow area, or so on and so forth. So
I'll be honest with you, Glenn, I follow people all the way up to Hadley.
Oh, I
I follow them
believe it,
up to Greenfield
I know.
area when I go in, and I follow them coming in the morning.
I mean, I
No.
on Amherst Street at 8 o'clock in the morning, all the traffic that's there.
It's on
Those are all people traveling somewhere.
Same with Chicopee Street and the other ones that come
Yeah.
down the cut through, yeah.
But, no, like I said, we need something to stop people besides the stoplight.
Mhm.
Be nice somehow that we capitalize, us as a town.
Well, I just want to let
Capitalize
you
on it.
guys know, that's where the state's going to be spending a lot of money this next coming fiscal year. So if we want to be online to get some of that money, that's something that we should consider. And particularly in the area of affordable housing, that was high on the
Well, I guess that depends what you consider, affordable housing.
No, it's what they consider.
No, but I mean, there's houses in Granby that are in the, 150, 160,000, and we all know there's houses in Granby for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 as well.
Mhm.
And that's not just Granby, that's really anywhere, everywhere. It's
But the
just,
whole idea behind it is to keep the graduates
Yeah.
of all the college area
Yeah, I mean,
living and
Well-
working in this area.
the downside, not the downside to it, Jay, but a lot of people that move to Granby have a family, so they have those 3-4 bedroom homes.
Right.
Someone just come out of college,
Well, that's why they said
Isn't
the
looking
different
for-
type of housing
right.
that they're looking at.
you
Like
know,
a lot of the
you need like
millennium kids,
condos or something like that.
Yeah.
Really, that's reality. That's what
that's,
what people are looking for.
yeah, because I was looking at a 2-bedroom condo to move in to get out of my house. They're at $370,000.
Yeah.
Plus, what they're looking at is for affordable housing, SROs.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for 1-bedroom, people to be able to, when they come out of college, be able to afford to be out there
Yeah.
until they get married and want a family, and
Yeah.
then they move out of that 1 and 2-bedroom
Yeah.
small unit to their own single-family
It's like
housing.
Hadley Village up the street in
Yeah.
South Hadley.
So you're looking more at, like Glenn said, condos
Yep.
or an apartment complex.
Mhm.
That's what you're really looking for.
The bottom line is, you can start out with an apartment complex, but as soon as the bills get high, it's gonna become condos.
Hey, look it up in Amherst for the UMass,
Yep.
those villages up there.
You make a great point there, because you talk about like an apartment complex somewhere here in Granby, and I always thought, whether it's senior living or whatever it may be, but going back to apartment building, look, and we kind of just talked about earlier, look where we are, and look how many colleges are around here,
That's my point.
and that's housing that people and I know from having friends who have kids in school where they actually rent an apartment for a whole entire year because it's cheaper than paying for the housing at a college,
You're right,
and the kids only live there 6-7 months out of the year,
that's right.
but it's still they pay for the apartment
Yeah.
throughout the year.
and to get a house, because I know the kids, they'll rent a house.
Yeah.
But 1 bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
the bedroom, you're talking $900 to sleep.
But
One
all I'm saying is, we
People
don't
need
have the
apartments. We don't have that.
alternate housing to dormitories.
Right, we don't, and I think apartments are a big thing, because not anybody could just be looking to live in an apartment versus, and I'm not just talking about people coming out of college, whatever. It opens up a whole variety of people for housing as far as apartments. And I agree, I think we don't need a huge complex, but I think if we could, have a nice size complex that would be in town.
Well, at one
there's a lot.
point, one of the master plan for the town of Granby was Pleasant Street area, businesses on the ground floor, apartments on the second floor.
Mhm.
Okay? That was part of the master plan back in early 2000s when it was developed.
And if you
Okay?
look where Finn's Hill is now, and the other state, a place on Pleasant Street, people hardly know they're there. They're not a problem.
And not just that too, I think at some point too is that we need to look at senior living as a way to keep the seniors in Granby and not, if they want to move out of their home, but to live in a different, as far as the complexes are like that,
Expand Finn's
Yeah.
Hill.
Well, right now,
even a new complex.
in Granby,
You know,
age
look at-
65 and over is 16.8 of Granby's population. If you lower that to age 60, 24.4% of the people are age 60 and over in Granby.
Well, there was a plan for one up on where McDuffie School is,
McDuffie
Joe
was, yeah.
Partika.
Mhm.
I remember that. It
Mhm.
would have like
I do
a
too.
perfect area
But
for
the
it.
bottom line at today's conference came out, infrastructure. And the point was drilled home to the people in Boston, that without the infrastructure, nothing is going to be.
But as part of that, he was willing to work with the town to put in infrastructure. He was going to help share with that. He was going to create a little mini mall up there with a pharmacy, a small grocery store, convenience type of things. That's what he was planning up there. Because we were even thinking about putting a ambulance substation up there at one point as part of his whole plan.
And that's kind of the point I was making before, is that you need to see 20 years down the road what you want things to look at. You have to make that plan, and you gotta stay the course, to get there, because that's just the plan. No one designed things overnight. It took a long time to do it. Whether you look at Hadley or any other particular town or city, things take time, and you gotta have a plan, a goal, and to make it
That's
happen.
why we have a planning board, right?
Right. Well, you do.
That's
the planning board
why-
is not really.
That's why we're
Geared
looking
toward
at
all that,
having our
you know?
own in-house planner / conservation agent to be able to start
Yeah.
putting out surveys to people. What do you want to see?
Right.
Do we want to look at this? Okay, do we want to look at apartment complexes to help the surrounding colleges these kids have a place to go and stay? It's things of that nature. Because you put one down by here, they're going to go to Subway, they're going to go to Cumberland Farms for their quick meals, they're going to go to the pizza joints. That's what they're going to go for.
You're 100% online, because the businesses at today's conference spoke up and says, what we need before we'll bring a business in, and there was people there from Silicon Valley. They'd say, what we need is affordable housing, and we need things for the people to do.
Yeah.
The younger people to do. They're not just gonna go home, they wanna go out and have a good time. Those are the things that have to be put in
Well,
place.
they
to
can come
keep
home
them.
here, they can go out somewhere else.
But look at Springfield's within 10 minutes of us.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Amherst is within 10 minutes of us.
Right.
Holyoke is within 10 minutes of us.
Right.
Ingleside is 15 maybe minutes from us. That's the places that are going to go for the nightlife.
That's right.
Okay, but when they're done partying, they come back here for the rural atmosphere. That's part of the thing that a lot of people want. They don't want to live where you can shake your neighbor's hand in the house next to you.
Right.
They want a little bit of space, the rural nature.
Mhm.
They don't want to be sardined in,
Oh, I
but yet they
agree.
want the nightlife. They want things to do, and that is our surrounding communities.
And is why, and I know speaking for myself and probably a lot of other people that I've talked to about, one of the reasons why they live in Granby. It's a centrally located area.
It's so close to the Mass Pike,
It's so,
91.
so many different areas you're close to. It's centrally
Mhm.
located. Really is. 15, 20 minutes you can be to where you really need to be if you wanted to. So, but you
Yeah.
got to plan for it. You got to plan for it.
That's where the money's going for next fiscal year for them.
I think we have a planner. I think that's great, and I think that's something that
Mhm.
that's so someone specializes in. That's what their job is. That's what their occupation is. They understand that. That's something they could work on.
Yes. Now that we've solved all the community woes. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.